Good morning, everyone. I'm Jan. You're watching Sketchalona. This is my mug. And let's get started, shall we? It's Sunday morning. It's a beautiful day outside, has been yesterday. And I'm sorry to have to admit that for the third week in a row, I have been struck down and knocked out off my feet with some nasty little bug that is doing the rounds at work. And in spite of my sincerest efforts to lead a healthier lifestyle, eating fruits and vegetables, like nothing but fruits and vegetables for like more than a week, on Thursday someone went home sick with a stomach bug, and then another person called in sick, and then Friday I wasn't feeling quite up to it after having friends over from Amsterdam to help sign for the new contract, because we get to stay in this house for another 3 years. Oh yes, that's another worry at least out of the way. And so not doing too well, and then all of Saturday I was just so that I pretty much decided, you know something, let's just call it quits for a day. So I spent a day in bed, you know, having nice foods, watching movies, doing a little bit of video editing, doing a little bit of drawing, but just rest. And now I have that really daisy feeling of having had too much sleep. So I think I'm ready. Just a perfect Sunday ritual. Wake up on time, sun's out, head out for the balcony. I've been talking to some of my Dutch co-workers who've been living here for a long time, and they kind of, you know, as I'm looking for explanations like, you know, why have I been struck down 3 weeks in a row and have to stay a night in bed sweating, they kind of seem to confirm the same suspicion that I've been having, that you acclimatize to the climate, to the weather. And so what would be a perfectly beautifully warm spring day in the north of Europe all of a sudden feels like such a drop in temperature than you're used to here. And you know, that's when you get struck down with a virus. That's when your immune system drops. I think it also may be a little psychological. This is just because, you know, one of my best friends who's now living in Amsterdam visited me here this week. And he's very much into psychology and like how every illness is related to your inner well-being. And sometimes I think, you know, a virus is a virus, and sometimes I think there's something to it. So I've been very just annoyed at my job for the last couple of weeks, and I almost feel like it's kind of a deja vu from a year ago, from when I left London to come to Spain, even though that was for very different reasons. But like I feel like maybe it's like an annual thing. Maybe spring is coming, you want change, and if you're already unhappy, that just adds to the tension. In my case, in my current job, you know, it's getting old, it's getting boring, and on top of that, half the team has either resigned or already quit. We're going to be down to just 2 people in about a month, but they keep promising to hire new people. But in the meantime, the workload is so much, so heavy. It's just it's insane. Days fly by though, but it's insane. So yeah, so maybe that adds to me just wanting a day off too, you know, could be. Anyway, I spent most of my Saturday in bed, just recovering, just getting all the sleep in the world that I want, and it's been glorious. It's been just absolutely amazing. Of course, I did manage to get a little bit of art done. I did get a little bit of video editing done as well, so let me tell you about that. One shower later, I'm still working on that drawing that you were watching me make, but just in case you're new to this channel, so normally I venture out into the city, I show you some of the sights and sounds. Not quite sure if I'm gonna make it today because I do have a logo to work on. I have my fan edit to work on, and I have just general art practice to catch up on. But I'd love to get out and just do a little sketch of the a really pretty hospital. I'm sure you might remember from earlier videos. So what am I working on? So I have a little side project besides my comic book. The Life in Space comic book has been sent off. I finished up on the where is it? I finished up on the pinup that I had to make. So the original art is right here. Can't remember if I showed you this last week. But so this is the original piece, and I had a lot of fun making this. I wanted like a little bit more of a 50s sci-fi kind of vibe, and I think I kind of got that. It's very rough. I worked on it pretty fast. I used a lot of brushes, like thick brushes. It's fun times. And then I went into Photoshop to clean it up. And so let me just quickly show you that before I talk to you about my other little project. I used the same coloring technique, so I dropped a 50% opacity layer on top of it, started etching away what obviously needed to be white to stand out. Did a bit of lighting effects on top of it to make it more clear that these are light lines and not something else, because here they're cables. And I think overall I made it stand out a lot better, you know? It's a lot clearer, like what is happening, and that there's a monster hiding in a tomb. I thought it was a little over here. Yeah, I don't know. I thought it could do with a little bit of clarity, a little bit of whiteout at least. So yes, so the comic book has been sent off to Mike, and Mike Marshall and Chris. They are now going to do a lot of the behind the stuff scenes to get the anthology comic book that us fine folks in the V100's internet community have been working on together. Obviously, I hope we can all pitch in still and help out. So if you guys need help, like whatever you know I can do, I'll make time. And so yeah, that's going to be very exciting. But that's probably going to be at least another month off, I think. I'm waiting to hear what's going to happen, and then I can fill you in. So in the meantime, I am finishing up the Colombian travel agency logo, and this weekend I started working again on my fan edit. So I'm making a little fan edit of the Matrix sequels, Reloaded and Revolutions. I've been having a lot of fun with fan edits. If you haven't watched any of these videos before, I've been rambling on some really cool ones I've been watching in the past couple of weeks. This week, there's a new one out for Star Wars Rogue One. It's called Rogue One Battle of Scarif. There's a whole article on it on The Verge. And I saw it, and they trimmed the movie down to 50 minutes, making it the perfect Star Wars Episode 4 prologue. So if you missed out on the May the 4th celebrations, like I did, I didn't know that was a thing. I mean, it's funny, but like all of a sudden, all over Facebook, everything is exploding in Star Wars news. And I was like, really? That's an actual thing that people get excited about? Okay. I mean, why not? I love Star Wars. So they made it a 50-minute, they cut it down to a 50-minute version that is the perfect prologue to Star Wars Episode 4. In case you don't want to watch all of Rogue One, but you want to get like the big battle scene in Darth. They also re-edited it to original trilogy John Williams music, and that really pulls at the heartstrings. Like, it's incredible how much of those movies is the music, and how much impact that music has had over the years. Watching it over and over again, it's awesome. I didn't mind the music in the original Rogue One that much, but I can see why people would say like, yeah, but there were no real standout. Like, but to be honest, I felt the same about The Force Awakens. I didn't feel the music really stood out all that much. Maybe I have to go back and actually listen to the soundtrack. But when watching the movies, it simply did the job for me. So speaking of music, and speaking of fan edits, I've been going over and over my little sequence of events in my remix of Reloaded and Revolutions into one film as a little side project myself. And so this scene right here is when Neo meets the Oracle. I basically took care to edit Seraph out of it mostly, only to realize like in some parts he actually makes sense. So in my edit, I move a lot of scenes from the third movie to the front. I front load them, as they say in video games, because I feel like rearranging them in that order is really fun and exciting, but it also, certain things make more sense. And one thing that I didn't even realize made more sense until I kind of put them in order was I edited the club scene, and then I took Persephone out because I thought like, well, that's a bit silly, because at the club scene when Trinity and Morpheus go out to save Neo, she's all flustered because Trinity is in love and, you know, going off the rails against the Merovingian. But that doesn't make sense in the original film because we've already met Persephone and she's already done her thing, which didn't make sense. But, you know, everyone, including the heroes, kind of went along with it. But if you put the club scene first, she gets all flustered, and as an emotional vampire that she is, she then ultimately is the downfall of her husband rather than the heroes. Then she has more of an arc. Makes more sense. And I was like, that's a happy coincidence of me rearranging these things and realizing more things connect better. So watching this scene again with the Oracle, it's amazing how much foreshadowing there is and how much they already give away. I let most of it play out, even though I took care to edit Seraph out, especially at the beginning, because I don't want him and the Oracle to be friends anymore. That's it. Seraph makes more sense in his old role that is hinted at as a henchman of the Merovingian. And so let's see if I can cut this till I get to.
What if I can't? What happens if I fail?
Then Zion will fall. Aren't I, son?
What does he want?
He's being held prisoner by a very dangerous program. One of the oldest of us. He is called the Merovingian. And he will not let him go.
What does he want?
What do all men with power want? More power. Listen to me, Neo. You can save Zion if you reach the source, but to do that you will need to keep Beaver, and you will have a chance.
Let's go.
Seems like every time we meet, I got nothing but bad news.
Not sure if that came out all right. I'm gonna have a look. I'm a little worried about copyright showing this on YouTube. I'm not sure. They're just snippets. It should be okay, but still. I figure if I show it like with a little bit of glare in it and whatnot, then maybe the algorithms don't catch me. There's some panning of the camera, and there's also some musical cues that enter where I have been cutting, and so that's just gonna have to stay in for now because I'm trying to. I would love for this week to just make time for this edit and see if I can make headway into getting the general order in place, even if it's just in snippets, just very rough, so you can really get a feel for, you know, is this working or is this not working? You know, I think it's gonna work, and I'm pretty excited. Besides that, what else has been going on? Well, I just corrected the ear, as you could see. The Colombian logo thing. So it's a little harder. Like, it's not been coming out well. Let me go back to the logo. What I've been doing is dropping a layer upon layer upon layer and just simplifying it into black and white art. Some versions are better than others. This last one, which you're about to see come together again, is my favorite, but it's still, the car isn't solid enough. There's still problems with it. But more importantly, what they want is something to be printed on merchandise like baseball caps and bags. And so I think this is a bit much. I don't think this is what they're looking for. It's cool in a comic booky kind of way. I think they want something even more simplistic. And so I need to work on that today. I need to have something to show before the weekend is over. And it's tough. I quite like where this is going, quite frankly. But and I like the colored version better still. But to make it into a solid, simple, easy to recognize at a distance, black and white drawing, it's been giving me a little bit of grief. So thank you for watching this week's episode number 31. And I just noticed, because it's been hovering on the 99 mark for the last 3 days, I don't know quite how the 99th turns out to be the 100th, but it doesn't matter. I have 100 subscribers. Thank you all for tuning in every week and following my exploits here on the internet as I strive to become a better artist all the time and like make my little comic book a reality before this year is over. There's lots more happening this year. Some of it is being worked on. I will reveal it at a later date. I know that's a bit of a tease, but until it's more concrete, I'm not gonna go into it too much because I don't want to have people go like, what happened to that thing that was really exciting? You know, I'm just gonna hold off until there's stuff to show and it's been approved. But it is comic book related, so it is gonna be awesome. I hope. I'm very excited about it. So Mute is my 100th subscriber. I'm gonna try and get in touch with you. If you are watching this and you recognize your name right here, try and get in touch with me as well on Twitter or Instagram if you can. Send me a little message if you can, or just leave a comment here on the video, of course. And then we can hook up and you can send me a picture or some ideas and I'm gonna make a little drawing for you, A4 sized. How does that sound? As a little thank you for being number 100. So with that, I hope you enjoy the making of the drawing you are looking at underneath, and I will see you guys next week.